Cool. We're live. Hello, everybody. I was plugging in my computer so it wouldn't die on me. But I wanted to go live and talk about what happened today, because I think it's important for everyone to begin to know what's going on with our physical body as we start Ascension. And kind of just go into more of a discussion. Hey, Grace. Go into more discussion of what happens with physical body ascension. So, word came out maybe 5 or 6 days ago that there are certain collectives that are now physically ascending. So what does this mean? I've discussed this a little bit more, but I wanted to bring this forward to share with everyone. So as we know, we awaken. And many are going through their awakening in the collective right now. And for those of us that have been waking up for some time, we're now going through a process of ascension. So one level is ascension of consciousness, yet another level too is we're going through a physical body ascension. So today marked the start of another plasma body ascension for me. And what has transpired over the course of the day has been beyond intense. And I think it's really important for those of us that are going through physical body ascension symptoms to discuss them more with the collective and just keep putting out the information to let people know that nothing's wrong with them. If you watched the solar activity today, because my human mind likes to check those things, woke up this morning and we were at KP7 on the index, which is the highest I've ever seen. The magnetic influxes from the sun was at a KP7. I've never seen that, never witnessed that in my life. Yet I haven't paid attention. When we first saw that there was all this solar flare activity that was occurring, I felt nothing in my field that was occurring. I felt no. Normally when we're having a lot of solar activity and a lot of solar plasma and photonic light coming through, you can feel your field restructuring, especially when the electromagnetic field of planet Earth is being restructured as well. But I felt nothing. And then there was a point, maybe about, I think it was 10 a.m., the light codes started to hit and the migraines started. Cranial expansion, a lot of neural rewiring, and a lot of pineal gland activations that were going on. What transpired for me was an entire overhaul of my physical body structure that was basically a carbon-based death to the carbon-based body and the activation of the silica body. So as we know, our carbon-based structures and our carbon-based DNA is constantly being recoded with the light influxes that hit on planet Earth, including star codes. We have Gaian codes that hit too. And what they do is they work with recoding our DNA, which will cause a cellular activation to occur. And then for us having to purge the belief systems, the trauma, the old limiting structures within our body through our physical body as we begin to clear. So I had heard my cells begin to dance and move earlier on today. And what this can happen for many of us, especially as gateways are opening, is that our cellular structure begins to shift with the new sacred geometries that are opening up as a result of when a gateway opens up or when we start to activate a higher level of consciousness, a higher level of light within us. So when we hold more light, what happens is our atomic spin rate increases according to our light quotient. So our cells will begin to spin and dance. Our whole molecular system will actually begin to shift and vibrate. And I went through this heavy passageway of these vibrations as we were working with, it was Gaia as well as the plasma energies coming through. And I could feel the energies come up through my feet. And I could feel the shaking and the pulsing of my heart and the activations that were ensuing. But for how intense it got today, it almost felt like it was convulsions. Could not sit still and getting really extremely sick. And I want to let people know about this because there's more of us that need to share what a physical body ascension symptom is like so we can begin to dissolve the fear campaign over that something's wrong with us, right? because it really is a process that we have to honor. And the sooner that we go down and we honor the process as it unfolds, it will pass, and you will feel so much better and expanded on the other side. So even right now, I'm still a little bit raw and vulnerable, and I had my communication with the universe of like, they had told me not to go live, not to be discussing anything because I'm going through my process. And then my higher self said, no, I think it's important for you to share this. And so we had a moment to I had a moment to come online to share what was going on. So today was intense vomiting, curling over, couldn't even be in the sun, right? So we've got a lot of Phoenix energies that are coming through, and it was crystalline plasma energy that was showing up. So plasma to me is very liquid light, right? So it really does feel like you're getting filled up with like a cooling liquid light, almost mentholated at times. And the crystalline energy is very, for me, mixed with the photonic light, very hot and very almost stinging to the skin. It was to the point today where when I would go out in the sun, my body would start to sting and vibrate, because I have main places that I sit in my RV and outside that actually have vortices that are opened, that are main places for me to connect, to do my energy work, to have like my morning routine. And every time I would go to my tree spot outside, it was like immediately having to get it to purge all of the toxins from my body. The main points of focus that were hit for me today was kidneys, liver, and pancreas. And I'll say this is that if I was unaware of ascension or awakening and was going through this process, I would think that something was terribly wrong with me. Luckily, I have a deep connection to my higher self and to my light body. And that's why I want to share this with people, is that the more we deepen the connection with our universe, our soul light, our higher selves, our light body, the easier our transition will be. But as a result, we do have to dissolve the distractions from our reality. And we have to begin to recognize where we still hold belief systems within that are going to tell us otherwise. Because as we're going through our holographic imprinting from within ourselves, right? Which if you're aware of that, we live in a holographic reality, you can think of your entire reality or construct is built on belief systems. It's built on thought forms. And I see every belief system thought form that I hold as a building block to the reality. And so as a result, when we're going through this and we're working with our own internal holograms, and this was I got a lot of assistance last night from a way shower, Lisa. She was helping me out with this last night. And it's something that I've known before too, about the holographic realities and the belief systems, and seeing these constructs is beginning to witness that when our body is clearing holograms, right? And our morphogenetic field is shifting and changing because our DNA is changing at a molecular level. We're stripping out all of the old 3D consciousness from ourselves and activating and amplifying the 5D and higher new earth consciousness from within, when we're speaking of galactic coding, star coding, solar coding, Gaian coding, which would be Tara coding, a lot of that, the original new earth, the original earth structure, the divine templates, all of that stuff is working with us and beginning to assist us in shifting and changing at a physical level that's causing this big purge to occur. And so for all of us, it really is about going within when we're having these physical body expressions, right, and experiences, is to recognize that a part of ascension, okay, so not just awakening, but actual ascension and physical body ascension, is it's not all blissful rainbows and sunshine, right? It's not all la-di-da-di peace, we do yoga, we stretch, we wear our white robes, and it's beautiful. No, there's a lot of really big internal dissolve and death that needs to occur as a result of it. And so while some of us, I love the term Pollyanna, right? Because there's a lot of this belief system that this process is very Pollyanna. And it's very, in moments, there is a lot of bliss, especially when we're activating Christ consciousness, or we're working with our fairy element and our heart is opening up. It is just like all like beautiful rainbows, and it's sappy, and you love everyone, and it's heart opening. But there's also a level of this experience where we have to go through these passageways of facing those narratives, those holographic imprints, those belief systems that really are going to test whether or not we're going to stay in our higher self alignment and in the truth of the purity of our soul and purity of our heart, and however we choose to do that. And that's what's been really going on for me for the past little while, is really facing all of my deep mortal wounding, right? Deep mortal wounding. And especially, it's one of those programs that I've shifted out, but as the collective that I'm a part of and the wave that I'm a part of, right? So when we speak of waves, we know about the 3 waves of ascension: the first wave, the second wave, the third wave. The first wave very much so is what we would call the ascended collective. They've already physically ascended. They're walking New Earth every single day. And a lot of those are way showers, guides. Some of them are public, some of them aren't, but they've already gone through their process. The second wave, which has microcosms of collectives in each wave, by the way, that experiences things at different times. The second wave right now is very much so going through their physical body ascension. And it really is dependent upon the work you've done, how much light you're holding, where you're at on your stage, and we go on and off. So we'll go through a passageway of physical body ascension, and then we'll get a break so we can integrate, we can establish the new energetic routine, work with the new templates, live in the new altitude, and then we'll go through again. It really is dependent upon how much of a carbon-based imprint we hold, how much of a carbon-based body we hold. Because if we were to take on physical body ascension overnight, our whole body would collapse and we probably wouldn't be living here anymore, because of the amount of the process that has to go through. The restructuring, the recoding, the way that our electrical impulses code in association with our organs, right? Bones, muscles, tissue, everything, teeth, everything has to shift and change in our physical body as we're beginning to ascend. And so as a result, right, it's a lot of, for us, and I know many people in my collective wave that are going through this right now, we're facing, and even us as a collective, how we view death, right? And the viewpoints on that, and recognizing that right now, as we face the great transcendence of the ego, we face a moment of ego death. And it is a true moment of pure cellular dissolve of all carbon-based structures to activate, to implement, and integrate the silicon-based DNA, the silicon-based body within our form. And so if you are facing these fears of death right now, or your mortal wounds, right, and you resonate with this, you know, it really is about, for me, has been feeling all of that feeling, but also witnessing where those programs and belief systems and stories exist within myself, and beginning to purge them and clear them out. Yesterday I did a big one, and today was like really heavily purging that out. And there's still a process to go through with this. That's a part of the neural rewrite. It's a part of stripping out those old holograms so we can activate a higher reality. And so for me, what's been helping is doing a lot of visualization work. And while I'm going through the process of the big physical body purges and cleanses, and I'm having to be spine flat and be down and not do any work and stay offline and just honor my process, is working with a lot of visualization to assist in softening the body, softening the ego, softening all aspects of me to be able to honor the process that I'm walking through. So for me, I imagine myself sitting in a garden, because when I'm kind of locked in a vehicle, and I don't want to say locked, but I'm having to be in bed in the RV, especially with where my bed is, it's very small and suffocating. And so for me to work with where I'm at is working with a lot of visualization, right? Is to really play with that level of reality that exists beyond where I'm at now, because that's going to create a greater level of scope and expansion, but it's activating more of that 5D truth where I'm not fixed to the external reality that will, because the external reality, the 3D reality, can almost keep me stuck in a point of singularity of saying that this is it, surrender to it. But when I close the eyes and I activate that new earth realm within me, which is within the heart space, and that visualization, that feeling place, it assists me in taking me to a place within that honors and remembers this process, right? And allows me to soften into that feeling space of that beautiful place that is new earth from within me, right? So while we're going through this process, playing with that visualization helps, because for many of us, we can get really consciously stuck and focused, especially as we're navigating from 3D to 5D and even in between the 4D purgatory void zones, right? Where we're working out all of our judgment in our war and we're dissolving and we're coming back to pure love, is really making sure that we're taking time to close the eyes and to go in the heart space and find where New Earth exists within us. What is the feeling, right? What do we visualize, right? What is it for us? Because it's going to be different. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to activate a feeling state. So the visualization doesn't have to be wrong. For me, it's like kind of like a Garden of Eden that's like just filled with beautiful flowers and, you know, really bright rainbow skies, really effervescent in the colors and the hues and the frequencies. It's tangible, it glows, it sparkles. And so what I do is I go into that place within me and I provide that safety and that comfort of knowing that New Earth is supporting my transition and my elevation up through this process of ascension that I'm going through, right? And making sure that as I'm working through, and this was something that was gifted to me last night, was while I'm working through the really big holographic imprints, is making sure that I'm activating those stages and phases of freedom and of joy and of bliss and of harmony within me as I'm going through the cellular rewrite. Okay. So what we're doing is we're not attaching to the limiting structures that are being exposed to us during this time frame and during this passageway that we need to let go of. What I'm doing is I'm allowing myself to break through that structure and activate another space of feeling that's going to open up a new pathway or a new storyline, a new reality for me to embody, a new pathway that is not going to be based upon that old belief system, right? And that old hologram. Because once again, coming back to the holograms, we can see each thought form, each belief system held as a brick, you know, and all these bricks stacked to create this reality. And a part of us collapsing a reality, consciously collapsing a reality, is going in and wiping out those belief systems and those thought forms and those imprints that tell us, that govern this level of reality that's based upon a 3D system. And as we break that down, we cut the cord in our etheric body and the energetic connection to where that system is upheld within our reality or within the grand stage. And all of us, by making this conscious choice, can collapse more and more of 3D from within. And so we can think of this carbon-based to silica-based shift that we're going through, the death of the old, is essentially dissolving all 3D from ourselves and activating the 5D higher light and those codexes, templates, soul aspects, light body, everything from within as we're going through this stage. And so there are numerous collectives, and I know my collective is going through an ascension process right now, right? And so the Phoenix energies are coming through a lot. It really is about burning down everything that is keeping us limited, stuck, and activating the power of our light, the power of our soul, the power of our joy to step forward and through and to say no more to those systems. And so today was beyond intense for myself. And there's a lot of star coding that's going on tonight, but I've been hearing that we're going to be taking a nice little break because we've been in a really long integration since the April passageway, and things are going to start kicking up. Last night was the new moon, and today was really, really intense physically for myself. And I know others are going to be starting to experience this too. And so we're just going to keep watching the solar activity, keep paying attention to what's kind of anchoring and coding, and just really taking it slow and easy. But for me, I want to say this too, is it's the importance of us connecting with our light body, right? Connecting with our physical body, connecting with our higher self, is that when these things start to occur, we can take better care of knowing deeper within what our body needs during the times of these great collapse. Your body will communicate with you. Your soul, your light, all of you will communicate with you. It really is about going deep enough and opening up wide enough to be able to hear what we need to hear. And it was really important for me today to really keep that connection open and listen and not separate off and try to do what the human wants to do to settle what was going on within the form. Because there is no guidebook for ascension, right? This is all new for us. And there's a lot of way showers and guides that have been discussing you know, the light body and physical body ascension, but not many. And even with their experiences are their experiences. And every person, while the different stages and phases of ascension can be kind of similar, the things we need during those times is really going to be different for every single individual. And so for me, about really taking that moment to listen and to care was to recognize that my body was communicating to me what I needed. And it was funny because earlier my body was saying, here's what you need to eat, and was telling me the exact foods I needed to eat. And I was like, I don't have that, right? I don't have those things. So I'm just gonna, Corey's gonna take the human, Corey the human is gonna step in and is gonna do what he does and just eat whatever he wants. Well, what happened? Corey was sick all day. And it was funny because that was a moment of collapse, physical body collapse that I had to go through the energetics that were coming through, that assisted in me being able to purge at a greater level, right? It assisted me in really releasing more of the toxins from my system, clearing out more of that cellular trauma, clearing out more of those belief systems. But it's because, you know, we can navigate collapses of realities and physical body collapse a lot easier by listening to what we need, right? Because a reality collapse is basically a moment where we don't listen and the reality will kick back, or physical body will kick up to show us where we're resisting the process. We're interrupting the flow of the current, right? So these energies that are coming forward in our process of ascension, as our higher self is descending and our physical body is ascending to meet the higher self in every new higher vibrational pathway that we're walking in and stepping forward into or rising up to, we want to keep those channels and currents open so the energies can come through and we don't have to block the energies, right? So if I, for instance, eat something that my light body is telling me I shouldn't eat, my light body has to kick on to overdrive to break down the toxins or to break down what's in that food that doesn't serve what my cellular body is going through. And then I have to purge and release all of that. And that's what had occurred. Basically, my light body had to go into a level of override through the restructuring to break down what I was eating. And as a result, I had to purge those toxins from my body as quickly as possible because they were showing up in a way that was facilitating a carbon-based life versus a silica-based life. And here, my light body is working with me overnight to honor my physical body's restructuring so I can anchor fully into this silica body and be able to transition smoother and faster. But of course, when the carbon-based body speaks up and we begin to start eating to support the carbon-based body or doing what we want to support the carbon-based body or to support the ego, the light body has to work harder to clear that from the system, right? And this is why it's important to just go down and to go through the process. And that's what was a big one for me today, was just lay down and go through it and go to sleep, right? And sleep through most of it. While it's uncomfortable, I've had moments of it like this before, but never this intense. And so that's why I wanted to share just kind of what's going on, what I had to the third wave, sorry Alicia, the third wave is I believe just now awakening. I believe the third wave is just awakening, while the first wave has so there's more than just 3 waves, but we talk about the 3 waves of ascension. So the first wave is what I would call the ascended collective, second wave is ascending, and third wave is awakening. And so like we have like a wave, and in each one of those waves, there's micro pockets of collectives that are at different points of their journey. And it's not one is further ahead than, because we're working quantum, we're not working linear, but that's just the way I see the waves put up, is that there's microwaves in, or there's microcosms of collectives within every single wave. Yeah, and the process, so Chula had stated, this has felt like years. And it takes a while. Okay, so when we activate, so let's just keep this into a realization for us. Let's think about how long humans have been alive on Earth, and that's how much programming and lifetime of cellular dissolve we have to go through. So we're looking at 26,000 plus years of human history that our body has to go through: war, trauma, strife, pain, restructuring, genealogy patterns, blood patterns, a lot of our epigenetic blueprint that we were born into. which is our bloodline, our lineage. Think about how long that lineage has, what it's gone through, and all of those processes that the bloodline has gone through that we're now breaking down. It is a big process. But also, everyone ascends at different rates based upon their life path, their trajectory, and how much of a carbon-based body that they hold, how basically unconscious their body is, or how much of an ego they have. So some people, you know, we hear of the physical ascension taking years to occur, right? Because there's so much that needs to happen for us through this process. It can take years. And some people are more accelerated than others because of their life path, because of what they're called to do, and so many different variables through this, that this process, the sooner that we surrender that the rest of our life is going to be restructuring, right? And it's going to be constantly recoding and shifting and changing, the easier we flow into it. Because so many of us are like, we're waiting for the end result. And while I understand that this has really been a long process for many, the sooner that we surrender to that, this is the way that our life will be, and that it's on and off, right? There's moments of shifting and changing, and there's moments of like integration and celebration. There's moments of joy. There's moments of going really deep within. When we honor that, you know, we can even see it as it's just kind of the new human condition. I recognize that there are humans with emotions that have good days and bad days. And that's a lot of what Ascension is for us. It's just a lot more amplified, and I think that it's just another level of feeling that we have to go through because of our energetic sensitivity, witnessing what's going on with collectives, but we're also piercing our own veils. We're dissolving all of our own stuff, right? So as a part of it, we're not just in the flow and surrendering to like, oh, my life is just this way, right? We see that there's a level of truth beyond the veils. And us having to consciously work through our veils, our unconsciousness, is a process, right? And it takes a while. And luckily, there's a lot of support. But luckily, there's a lot of energetic and Gaian support that's occurring right now. And tapping into that, we're not having to do this alone, right? We have ascending, awakened collectives. We have invisible realms. We have, divine mother frequencies. All these things really supporting us. But it really is about us leaning into the invisible. Leaning into the feeling, because that's when it becomes visible, because we find it from within and we activate that hologram from within in that reality, and then that will become visible for us. But as a result, we have to work with our belief systems where that invisible isn't visible to us, or to the naked eye. So I'm just reading through the chat. Hello, everyone. Hello. That's right, Kevin. Just ride with the tide and go with the flow. That's what we got to do. What we got to do. And yeah, this restructuring is a process that takes a while. It does take a while. And there's a lot we can do right now to really support ourselves through the process. I found that, and this is something others talk about as well, and I found this for myself, that the one thing that's going to be right for my soul is going to be completely polar opposite of what my ego wants. So using that as a frame of reference, and once again, thank you to Lisa Transcendence Brown for talking about this with us. It's really important. She's talked about it on other videos too. But usually, so when my mind wants me to go, that means when I need to lay. When my mind wants to work, that's when I need to stop and I need to chill, right? And that's been the biggest key for me about softening through the transition, and really learning. It's remembering. It's not learning. Remembering what it's like to be a divine human, because I really don't consciously believe I've ever been a divine human. But a part of activating that soul imprint and letting that light forward and through and listening to that light is that light from within me is guiding me on how to be a divine human again. Like, what does the body need during the different frequencies and energetics? What is going to assist me in expanding and in letting go? I think the biggest process for us while we're going through physical body ascension is to get us to a place of letting go, right? Because the body is holding on. Just like many of us in while we're walking through 4D, we go through the internal war. We can also see that our body has its own war going on. And what it is, it's the carbon-based body wanting to hold on, because that level of restructuring that occurs to activate a silica body feels uncomfortable. It is truly foreign. And what happens when our body goes through a foreign process is it can go into a state of fight or flight, or almost a shock of wondering what's going on, right? And it really is about us outsmarting the carbon-based body and outsmarting what the ego wants to do, um, to hold on and to assist in doing what we can to allow it to let go. Because as soon as we let go, we can think of letting go as surrender. And in that divine surrender, we open up to the flow and we allow it to just go. We allow it to have its process. And when the process is done, we get back up and we're going, oh, cool, I'm done here. I'm good. I'm feeling better. And that's what's going on right now. I'm still a little bit raw, still a little bit raw, still a little bit vulnerable, which is cool. But there was this moment of like, oh, I made it through, like a moment of like, okay, cool. And I know it's not the end, right? I know that there's gonna be many more of this. But then now the focus is on what can I do to really deeply care for myself and to receive that support from myself, and from others to assist through this process. Because really, we do need these support networks, right? We need to build up that tribe and build up those people that are going to support us. Because even us in supporter roles, for those of us like myself that are in full-time supporter roles, many of us don't have a lot of support, right? And so like a part of building these support networks and working with our own programming with where we can't be supported, or we can't be loved, or we can't be taken care of, whatever it is. And not from a spot of like someone's doing this for me in ego processes, but when you're going through the process of reparenting yourself in physical body ascension and caring for others, we do need support as well. And that's why the newer support networks are really important in towards building those and looking at where we're not allowing divine love in our own lives, and not in the form of like a romantic partner, but that caring, loving tribe that's going to assist us and nurture us and elevate us, while we're going through our processes as well. And this is why it's important for us to build these support networks and to communicate with one another and to laugh and to love and to enjoy and to, deprogram and work through our pains together, is because this is a unified experience, right? We don't have to go through this alone. And that's been a big one that I'm still working through, is like, I don't have to go through this process alone. And there's a lot of it that I feel like I have to go through alone, but a lot of it, once again, is based upon my belief systems that I have to go through and work through that are blocking me from unifying. And so we do need the support networks. And the support networks are an energetic support where we're uplifting and inspiring and holding one another as we hold new earth from within ourselves. So, a part of these support networks being built is we have to hold that higher light consciousness within. We have to walk, live, and breathe the living light, right? This is being a living light code keeper, is that we activate those codes within ourselves. And then every single moment of the day, we have to be that and we have to hold that. And when we do, we're holding that network from within, thus holding up that support network and keeping that support network alive and free and accessible to all who are ready to cross that rainbow bridge, right? And are ready to live that level of support as well. I'm just reading the chat. Genevieve, reach out to me. I want to talk to you about that, because I've been going through similar stuff. And it's interesting because the song coming through has been Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Green Day. But I recognize too that I have a conscious choice, where some phases of like, so I'm going to be talking more about, am I frozen? It's showing it's frozen here. No. Okay, cool. I want to talk more. I'm going to be talking more too about New Earth transitions and what it's like. Because while we're transitioning, we can think of ourselves like in the story of Noah's Ark, right? Without having to attach to the story and get embedded in the whole dogmatic structures, it's a really good representation of what it is going to the new world. And anchoring New Earth is there's a passageway for many of us where we walk alone. One level is the reason we walk alone is because our field needs that space to expand and to breathe. Because other people's realities, when they interfere with ourselves, with ourselves, is it begins to call forward a reality that might be more chaotic, right? Or there's programming that gets in the way. there's a lot of there's so many different things that occur, including abuse, trauma, neglect issues that we all have to work through individually in programming wise. And that's why we go through a lot of that alone, especially if we have dependency and attachment stuff. If we have really big processes of that we've gone through of dependency, codependency, attachment, right? The universe will strip those people out of our reality so we can learn what it is to be sovereign with soul self. Sovereign with soul self in the form, but also how to keep people out of our field while we build our new earth reality. Because so let's say that I'm building a holographic reality within me that is in a, let's just say, a 5D to 7D trajectory, right? And I'm just using this for the sake of play and sake of example. Well, if everyone I'm encountering is in a 3D or 4D hologram, right, in a 3D, 4D reality, and I'm allowing those fields to constantly intermingle with my own, my field is having to work extra hard to dissolve that 3D and 4D reality to hold my 5D holographic imprint from within. But also there's cords, ties, attachments, trauma bonds, so many different things that can get in the way for us to be able to walk in sovereign new earth. And so it really is, that's why a lot of us go through portions of walking alone in transition, or like Noah's Ark into the new earth, because one level is we gain a level of deep knowing of who we are, right? We don't have the distraction. We have a moment to connect deeper with soul self, with soul light, true form of the light body. And that for ourselves and for ourselves assists us in knowing who we are at a soul level. And that assists us greatly in being able to assist other people, but in also making sure that we're dissolving all the masks of illusion that we wear that keep us blocked from really living in our authentic tribe. And we wobble in between collectives. I find that when I hit a certain vibrational bandwidth, I end up walking into a new vibrational bandwidth, a new room essentially, and in that new room comes a new collective. And so I talk about it with transitioning collectives, is that sometimes those people that were in resonance, when we upgrade, it might take them however long it might take for them to upgrade as well. And so it's up to us to transition into a new collective, more soul aligned, right? And we have to look at so many different variables of belief systems, agreements, what we're looking for, also how much authenticity we're holding, because that is going to assist in us activating the higher truth of the individuals that we're communicating with. But also even my own tribe, we weave in and out, right? Like there's nothing, I find when we're weaving light through conscious threads, there's a lot of removal that has to occur when we weave light. So many of the people I come in contact with, we weave together, right? And we activate each other. And then it reaches a point where we must separate to integrate. The fields have to separate. Everything has to go to integrate. And then at some point in time, it's like imagine that you're a weave, you're a thread, and you're weaving in this line, and then you hop over to this group and you weave over here, and we're kind of quantumly all over the place. But we also have to make sure we're not getting entangled with the people that we're encountering as well. It really is important. Yeah, it really is important for us to be in our own energy. Of course. Thank you, Yana. Thank you, Yana. Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Bridget. I'm just sailing the waves in my little sailboat of love. Bridget, that's awesome. That's so cool. That's how I feel. And being in this rig, I'm in my little sailboat of love. Not every day is loving. No, I'll tell you the truth. Not every day is loving. So yeah, there's a lot going on. I just wanted to come on and talk about what happened today with the physical ascension and to discuss this more, right? It's important for all of us to do our part in doing this, especially as the collective is going through everything it's been going through in 2020 and 2021, right? There's a lot of situations that go on at a physical level that don't have to end in tragedy, and don't have to end in trauma, and don't have to end in an old belief system coming to life, right? It really is witnessing the power of our creatorship, or our creatrix, our creator, creatress role, whatever we want to state, whether we're doing the feminine masculine split thing. It's diving into our ability to consciously create and to know that we have the ability within us to say no to those things that are going to propagate fear, right? And like this was suggested to me too, and this is my background on my phone. Fear is a liar, right? And for me, I have to remember that, right? Because there's that subtle voice and that subtle talk of ego consciousness, of the 3D, of the old world within, the carbon-based body, whatever we want to speak of, that is going to whisper this in my ear. It's gonna whisper these little notions and voices that are reminding me that that still exists. And it's up to me whether I dive into that, right, and say no more. It's whether I push it away or whether I embrace it and I shift it out myself by recognizing that it is a campaign that exists within me, and I have to overwrite and overwrite it by beginning to activate that trust and that faith and that surrender, and knowing that I don't have to be limited, right? I don't have to be limited. Fear is a liar. And so while I'm going through this process, right, there's been a lot of moments where, yeah, I dive into the fear, but I also remember that I, as a conscious creator and a master, have the ability to shift that out myself and to use my own tools from within to shift that out and to activate a new pathway, to activate a new holographic imprint, right? To activate a new holodeck, right? Like it was one of those things where I was talking to my sister Alicia about it the other day, another Alicia, by the way, because I know Alicia Rose might still be in here. And we talked about the analogy. She said at Legoland in California, when you go to the Legoland Hotel, when you get in the elevator, it's all like soft jazz piano music. And right when you start to move up in the elevator, the disco ball drops and it turns into a party. And it's a reminder for us that when we're on the pathway of ascension, right, it's our conscious choice on how we choose to witness the process that we're going through. We can the song coming through is "It's my party and I'll cry if I want to." Like your ascension is your party. If you want to cry, if you want to laugh, if you want to dance, if you want to have fun through it, it's up to you. It's really about how we honor the process too, and the emotions that come forward. Are we surrendering to the waves of emotions as they come through and then shifting out of them as quick as possible? Are we working through our separation and then coming back to a place of deep interconnection from within ourselves? How do we do that in our process? Are we overcomplicating the process, or are we simplifying the process? Right? There's a lot of like esoteric information out there, and a lot of new age information, a lot of metaphysical stuff that really is mentally, mind, and logical focused. And as a result, we can get caught up in that, and we can begin to forget the simplicity of this, which is just honor, rest, breath, be. Like we can make this as complicated or as simple as we want to in our process. And while there's a lot of processes that occur within that are structured in such a way that are very complex, right? We don't have to make the process complex and complicated. We can make it very simple just by surrendering, by allowing, by listening, by staying deeply connected. In that we can do that. And yes, there are complex and complicated things that do arrive on the journey, and I've discussed many of them. But really at the end of the day, us transitioning from a place of thinking to a place of feeling requires us to feel and to work with that feeling state a lot towards rising above the 3D paradigm illusion of the fear. So it's for us, it's about, we can really simplify this process by through honoring. Does this keep freezing on me? I keep seeing this stuff. No, it doesn't freeze on me. Okay. It's just that I had YouTube paused. We can simplify this process. We really, truly can. But it's up to us to find out what our process is, because everyone holds an individual template. And my process might not work for you like someone else's process might, or your own process. But really, it's like, for me, the biggest song that comes through to remind me of this is Simple Man by Leonard Skinner. But I listen to the Shinedown version because music is what kind of tells me where I'm at, what I need to do. And the Simple Man thing is really honoring a place of simplicity within myself, because the complications are what have created all the 3D distractions in my own reality. So as a result, I look at where am I still holding distractions in my environment that are keeping me from connecting deep within, right? What is that? And beginning to work that out of my field to come to a place of simplicity. Because in that simplicity, I build a really potent feeling state. And in that feeling state is when I hold that, the reality catches up through that feeling state. And that's when I can begin to embody more new earth, because new earth is a feeling state. For a while, we're following for a feeling. For a while, we're paying for a feeling. And it doesn't make sense because the reality doesn't catch up and it's not overnight, but it's a feeling state, right? And so really activating that level of simplicity within our own reality can assist, right? Get rid of the clutter, out of your environment. Keep a very clean, nice, neat space. It'll help with your field. It'll help with your expansion. Live simply, right? Try to live as simple as you possibly can. And for those of us that have multidimensional creations, where we're showing up on many different ways, shapes, forms, different social media networks, different forms of creation, right? Weaving in and out of that, even though it can get complex, is it's a level of simplicity. We work with the energetics that we are provided in that now moment. So we tune in, right? What do I do? What do I do today? Just be, okay. What do I do today? Write a blog. Okay. What do I do today? Hop on YouTube, make a video. Okay. What do I do today? Play. Okay. What do I do today? Write some music. What do I do today? Do a session, create a course, create a workshop, sell Andaras, play with your Andaras. A part of the multidimensional creation is that I have a wide spectrum or bandwidth of things that I can do based upon the energetics that I'm holding. Whether I need to be in a being state, a doing state, I need to keep people out of my field, I need to show up. It really is, it's one of those it's really important for all of us to make sure that we're living in simplicity, even through multidimensional creations, right? I have many different hats that I wear, not literal hats, but I show up as the mother, the father, the brother, the sister, the child, the wounded child, guardian, grid keeping, gatekeeping, different things like that. But really learning to navigate the waters of Ascension has provided me the opportunity to tune into everything that I need in that now moment and know that everything will be provided in that now moment when I need it, including if I need to rest, right? That there will be a go window when I can catch up on work, where there'll be a go window when I can show up, where the money will arrive just on time, and all of those things, right? Especially as we're working through all of our struggle narratives and all the abundance stuff with New Earth creations. For us, it's really about living a simple life in the beginning and just honoring that and honoring the transition, right? It's like we're on the sailboat, it's heading true north for ourselves. And when we get there is when we get there. Now, until we get there, our choice is while we're on the ship, right? What are we going to do with that time, right? What are we going to do with that passageway? Because we can kick and scream, we can enjoy the process, we could do something to create, we can work some alchemy, we can work some magic. There's so many things that we can do in that process, but we're on the sailboat of Ascension. And the only thing we need to do is prop our sails and navigate the waters of the divine through every now moment, tuning into what do we need, right? What is highest aligned for us, for ourselves in that now moment? And then following that guidance. Don't separate off, right? Every time I separate off and my human starts to go, no, this is what you should be doing. And my human takes its power back, not in a divine way. It's always led with the universal 2x4 to wake me up and to go, okay, I can't. The human can't. But there's this effervescent, beautiful glow that exists within me that can, but I need to listen to that, right? I need to listen to that. And that's a part of the wobble, the bifurcation, the split, right? Separation is at some point we separated from source, we separated from self, we separated from soul light. And so now a part of that is we have to now listen and follow directions of the soul, of the internal guidance, of the moral compass, right? Whatever we want to call it, that's going to assist us in getting us past beyond the human conditioning, right? The limitations of the human mind and the belief systems and the old systems. It really is about trusting that navigation point and honoring that from within. And while it can be painful and it can be uncomfortable at times, it truly is worth it. And the blessings that arrive as a result of it, which aren't things, right? We don't do this for things, but that feeling state and that freedom that we have within and that self-worth and that self-value and the abilities and the gifts and the heart opening, the compassion, all of those things are what lead to the greater revealing of why we do this, and the change that occurs at a quantum level and a collective level as a result of these upgrades and these revelations that we have from within. So yeah, it's a beautiful process. So yeah, I just wanted to come on and talk to you guys. Usually when we start to get people in here, we'll start to shift and change because I've been reading the field. But I hope everyone's doing well. I'm exhausted. I'm probably just gonna melt and go to bed very, very soon, even though I've been asleep all day. So thank you guys for coming out. I wanted to just let people know kind of just a little bit of what was going on with the physical body stuff today, but also just create a dialogue. More of us, creating an opportunity to learn more about what the light body is, what happens during physical body ascension, and begin to get hungry for that information to know. Because I think this level of knowledge is power, especially as we have so much going on and a lot of people facing in the collective trajectories, mortal wounding, right? And to recognize that we do have power of choice in how we view what's occurring to us or for us, based upon whether we're still holding victim narratives within ourselves, and how we can take our power back from the victim narrative and step into more of an empowering role of conscious creation, and allowing ourselves the opportunity to shift our belief systems out ourselves, to activate that higher pathway for ourselves, so we can begin to live a life of more deep knowing and separated from that old system that is crumbling at a rapid rate. So I love you guys. I appreciate you all. Much love and respect to everyone out there. And with that, I will see you guys soon.